In this video, I will continue the session on setting up local runtime to publish your flow. We created a local runtime in a previous video. Once again, information about these steps is in help.boomi.com under flow. So let's get started. Right, as you can see, I have a local runtime, connection name, and then the version, and it states that it's online. In order for us to be able to run flows for this local runtime, we need to set up our player that we can use to access the flow. So the first thing we need to do is to create a copy of the default player, and this will become our custom player that we will use. So there are a couple of sessions that need to be updated. First is the URI. I'll go through that in my player when I create it. And then the last session is information about the tenant, the flow that you're going to run. You can either create a player flows or create a player for a specific flow and a specific version of the flow. So here in flow, you go to players tab and then you select the player that you based on. For this example, we are using the default legacy player. Selected the content of the player, copy it into a text editor. So copy it in text editor like this, save it as HTML. So once I have the HTML file, you look for the part that has got many.settings.initialization, and then within that section, you just look for the URI. Here you need to paste your server, the server that is running your local runtime or where you are hosting your local runtime. You need to paste the URL or the server name in there. And don't forget to include the port number if you have set a specific port number for this. Now, before I save that, there are a couple of things that you need. As I said, you need a tenant ID. If it's a player for a specific flow, then you also need a flow ID. And if you want to lock it to a specific version, you also want to have the version ID. In this example, I'm only going to have the flow ID and the tenant ID. So go back to your flow and the flow that you want to publish to it, get a tenant and the flow ID. What I'll do is I'll just click on publish, and when you get to the publish page, you'll have to select the local runtime environment and then click on publish, and you'll see this will provide you with the key values that you need, the tenant ID and then the flow ID, and then it also tells you the current version that you are using. So I'll just copy both values and click close. Okay, so in your HTML file, you make sure you scroll down to the section menu.engine.initialize, and then when it says tenant ID, replace it with the tenant ID that you copied. Make sure you have it in single quotes, and then where you say query parameters, flow ID, and that's it. So you save this file, and then you will have to copy or move the file to your web server and use this to run your flow. In the next video, we will actually publish and see the flow based on this HTML file we've created for our default player. Thank you for watching.